I've had a direct booking. That was basically a 2-week booking, around 2,900 payout. I've had 3-day bookings. That's going to be £1,300.
£1,300 for 3 nights, did you say?
The biggest thing was time. So I want to have that total freedom to spend with my children. It's about showing them that this can be done and showing them that you can have multiple incomes, but then just focus on what you really want to focus on. Then started talking to him, building relationships with him. Found out he was a landlord of about 100 homes. When we started initially talking to the landlord, he basically is quite stressed out because somebody's not paid up. He's had tenants that he's constantly chasing. The house had been in a mess when he's gone to do a spot inspection. This is where we'd obviously looked at what sort of problems he was having, explained how I can be a solution to that. He wouldn't be having those sort of times where he wouldn't be getting paid on time. That really sort of struck with him because he's like, well, I've been so stressed with X, Y, and Z. If this is the way forward, then I would give it a go. So he was talking about a property. He was like, there's a 5-bedroom property that's coming up. Would you be interested in it? Because I'd be happy for you to do the Airbnb from what you've spoke about. Took it on board. We had a handshake. We were able to be given the keys and we started straight away.
So guys, welcome to another video. Today we are met with a lovely mother of 2, Tina, from the West Midlands. She's making around £7,000 from her first Airbnb property that she launched in just 3 weeks. We're going to find out more about her story, so stay tuned. So Tina, are you able to give us a quick introduction about yourself and what you were doing before you got started with Airbnb?
Yeah, of course. I work a 9-to-5 job. It's a registered manager in a children's home and it's preventing young people from going into care. Previous to that, I owned a business. It was a pub industry. So again, around hospitality. Finished with that particular job now and started my new Airbnb and just wanted to sort of deep dive with this Airbnb and see what this is all about, to be honest with you.
Amazing. So Tina, how is it exactly that you came across the idea that you can take a property, not have to own it, you can either rent it or manage it for a landlord, and you can make cash flow money from it through the short-term rental industry? How did you come to find out about that?
I think it was about 2 years ago when I was really wanting to come out the sort of pub industry. In fact, about a year and a half ago, and I started watching yourself and Lena through Instagram, TikTok, and was just sort of following you. And it wasn't something initially that I thought, right, want to do, but as obviously you were sharing value and there was stuff around obviously what you guys were doing and how you were moving forward and growing, it was something that I thought, right, I need to look into this further. I just took that deep dive one day where I thought, right, this is exactly the path I want to take. And I was going to continue with my job. Obviously, I wasn't going to sort of let go of that at the time, but came away from the pub industry and did a deep dive into Airbnb.
Amazing. Of course, me and you both know that you joined our 3-day challenge that we did, and we don't do these often. It's been a couple of months since that finished. Doing that 3-day challenge, what was it that really made you want to come out of that 3-day challenge and just go all in and commit?
I think with the 3-day challenge, I found there was so much value. You were dropping so many little tips and tricks and value that it made me really sort of focus on about, okay, needing more of this. And I think every call left me feeling I need to know more. And I was excited to jump on those calls and it was really good with the question and answers. It was just real. It wasn't sort of textbook. It was actually very real. Everybody was asking questions and you were able to answer them. You had so much knowledge and experience and it just made that decision a lot easier to get onto the mentorship, to fully get your support with the success coaches.
Yeah, so you mentioned that you were able to come on these calls and you were able to ask any question that you wanted to ask and you were getting all the answers and you were walking away with more knowledge than when you came in. I guess in the current world that we live in, there's information everywhere. Like you could go onto Instagram, you can go onto YouTube, Google, ChatGPT. You have all these different avenues where you can go down and get information from. Why not have just down that YouTube University route and just kind of like use the free resources out there online to start your own business?
I think I even tried that, to be honest with you. I looked at a lot of different mentors, I looked at a lot of different mentorships, and I just found that, again, with that 3-day challenge, it gave me so much knowledge. And there was things that you guys were sort of talking about and discussing that I've not heard about anywhere else. Myself and my husband had done a little bit of research into sort of the deep dive, but there was just this particular information that I just thought, right, okay, this is the way. It just felt right for me to sort of work with you guys and sort of work on this mentorship together.
I didn't actually really get to ask this, but what was your why behind starting a business and wanting to earn that extra income? What kind of life are you trying to achieve? Is it the time freedom? Is it the financial freedom? Is it the location freedom?
I think for me, it was the biggest thing was time, because I spend a lot out at the moment. So it was the time freedom as well as the financial freedom, and to spend that extra time with the children. I want to be all over the world in that sense. So you're right, the location as well. I don't want to be so stuck behind a desk 9 to 5. So I want to have that total freedom to spend with my children. They're only young, so it's about showing them that this can be done and putting that work ethic in and showing them that you can have multiple incomes, but then just focus on what you really want to focus on and scale that and make that grow.
Amazing. So in regards to, of course, you mentioning that you were working previously, you had your hospitality business that you were running in the pub, you owned a pub, and you're also currently working in the safeguarding and children's sector. What made you want to diversify your income and add another source on top? Where you had the pub business going on, why not have just continued running that? Why expand out of that?
Yeah, the pub industry, there was just too much competition. It was just the long hours. So I was supporting my husband doing that. I was working, got 2 young children, and it was just not sort of working out for us. And we just needed something that was a bit more scalable and able to sort of move forward away from the sort of 9 to 5, and I wanted to be working smarter, not harder. That was my biggest thing. And so I was looking at different things, and obviously the Airbnb side of it. Definitely thought I'll be able to scale more with this.
And can I ask, did you decide to start your business whilst you were working your job?
So yes, that's correct. I started it whilst working my job, but at the initial start, I was actually running a pub too.
Okay, so you were running the pub, you had your job, and then you also decided to start an Airbnb business on top.
That's correct.
Wow, call
Trying
that a
to,
triple. Yeah, you could
and my
call that a
teaching.
triple shift. And you have your exactly. You have your 2 kids as well. You're a mother
Yeah,
of 2. How old are your kids, if you don't mind me asking?
11 and 7.
Wow, you have two very young kids. You decide
Yeah.
to work in your job. You're running the pub business. You're a mother of 2, and you decide to start your Airbnb business. What was your family thinking about this? I don't know if your kids knew that you were starting a business. I don't know if your husband or your extended family, like, did they know that you were going into a new business? Because if I'm correct, you're doing this by yourself,
It's
or
me
you're doing
and
it with your
my
husband.
husband.
So what was the kind of like general feedback from your family when they heard about that, or even the kids?
They thought I was crazy initially. They thought, oh my God, what is she up to again? Because I was constantly a busy mum. But they understood, because what I was trying to build and what I was trying to do was come away from the pub industry, which was their long hours, late nights, a lot of work. And my husband would be there too. And we were trying to come away from that and a bit more, like I said, different hours, different working patterns. So this way I'd be able to sort of go in, do a bit of work, but be on my work on my business for a couple of hours once the systems are all in place. Whereas I had to physically be at the pub doing what we had to be doing, and that could be serving, that could be behind the bar, that could have been in the restaurant serving food, etc. So that was just more sort of a lot of hard work in that sense.
Wasn't it scary to leave what you already knew and what you were doing for years? So I'm assuming you were in the pub industry for quite some time, running that
8 years.
business for quite some time. 8 years. Wow. So you're running a business for 8 years. Wasn't it
Yeah.
scary coming out of that business into the unknown, and you've got these kids to raise? Wasn't that kind of a risk for you?
It was initially. And that's why, like I said, I talked about it for about a good year and hadn't made the move, because I was thinking, what if? And then my mindset changed. And I think it was then when I thought, right, I need to seriously take some action. And what really supported me is your videos. That really, really supported me to get that change And I think that's where I thought, right, okay, I need to start taking action. So that was really good. And giving you an example of that, I can get like a lot of FOMO if I miss out. I've got a very close-knit family, and they were last month, literally all siblings. My dad had flew out to India, and I was the only one not going because I actually promised myself that I'm on this mentorship. They actually didn't even know. I was like, honestly, I'm going to continue with this and continue doing what I'm doing, and actually didn't go. And that was massive for me because I would be the first person there. But it taught me that I had to make some changes in order to grow. And I had to make these big sacrifices. And that was obviously one hell of a big one for me. But yeah, it was like sort of putting things in place that I wouldn't have done before.
So, given that you made that sacrifice, I guess, what is your opinion on a situation where there's individuals who want to start a business and they say that that's a priority for them, but every time they need to prioritize the business, they do go off on that holiday or they don't commit to their goals. They keep pushing the can down the road because something else comes up and it gives them that dopamine, that instant gratification of happiness and like, yes, feel good factor. What would be your opinion and your viewpoint on that now, being on the other side where you did commit for a good few months and you put your head down? What's your perspective now on that kind of situation?
I think it's just getting them goals down on a piece of paper, writing them goals down and having those small baby steps and working towards them. Because to be honest with you, one of the biggest things that I avoided was putting things down on paper. I just thought, I've got it in my head, I know what I want to do, and that's what I'm going to do. But literally, it clearly didn't work at the time. Yes, I succeeded in a lot of things, but it could have been a lot faster if I'd done things the way that you guys obviously sort of teach. And I just think it would have been a lot better. But what I've got from it since then, it's like everything seems to be falling on my plate in the most positive way. So it's like the universe has been sort of with me in the sense that good bookings, trying to get direct bookings. I've been able to achieve so much. And actually, if there's any sort of problems and issues, I'm here, I'm focused, I'm able to sort of, sort things out straight away and actually have a focus. I think it's that focus and having less excuses. It's making time for obviously the business and actually not having that disturbances going on.
So, given that you've mentioned you've had a lot of positive come into your life as of lately, when exactly did you join the program? So, of course, you attended one of our challenges, you absolutely loved it, you got so much value from it, so much information that we say this all the time, but you can't find what we teach in our program. You can't find it online. You'll get the basics, don't get me wrong, you'll find the basics on YouTube, on Google, you can find that online, but the detail that we go to and the kind of like tips and tricks and like how to kind of beat the system, you can't get that online. So having joined the 3-day challenge, when did you exactly join the program?
It was straight away. It was immediately, to be honest with you. I was able to book in my call and with the mentors, and then we just took it from there straight away. It wasn't a week's wait, 2 weeks wait. No, it was immediately.
So you absolutely knew, no, this is for me. This is what I need to do now. I need to join.
Yeah, I needed that change. And like I said, when I saw your Instagram post about the 3-day challenge, just like I came across it and thought, right, I definitely need to go onto it because I need to make some changes. And like I said previously, having been on that 3-day challenge, I wanted more. And therefore, I immediately joined. There's just no question about it.
As far as I can recall, your first week on the program started on the 1st of September, right?
That's correct, yes.
We're now on the 27th of October, so you've had pretty much 2 months inside the program. What have you achieved in those 2 months?
Well, I've had a direct booking. That was basically a 2-week booking, and that was around 2,900 payout. I've had 3-day bookings. That's a payout via Airbnb. That's going to be £1,300.
£1,300 for 3 nights?
That's correct, yes.
And what sort of property is this?
This is a 5-bedroom property. It's a detached house. I've basically gone a lot luxury with the furniture. I've got quite a lot of amenities in place, including a hot tub.
So that's really allowing you to charge that extra amount that your competitors aren't.
That's correct, yes. I've had a 2-night booking as well, £298. I had a 7-day booking where they gave me £1,000 in cash. So that was an extended because we had contractors in there initially. They really enjoyed themselves, and any sort of questions I had, we were able to answer, or if there's any issues, we were able to resolve them. And they've had a really good stay, so they extended it for another week, and they gave me £1,000 cash with a good
That's
discount. So
amazing. That's lovely. I mean, on average, what are you charging for your property per night?
I'm charging 350 on average.
So you're hitting that £350 per night. And on average as well, what is the occupancy that you can achieve on this property?
Around 70%.
70%.
So
So we're
yeah,
looking around 21 nights.
that's correct. 21 days. Yeah.
So I guess 350, and then you got the 21 nights or days, if you want to say. That's an average of £7,300 that you're making per month from this property.
Yeah.
Can you give us a deal breakdown on this property?
Yeah. So if it's 350 a night, you've got 21 days. That would give you, like you said, 7,350. So my outgoings are in total 2,400. So I've got a lot of profit in that with this particular property.
So on average, what would your profit look like on the deal?
So that'd be 4,950.
With that then, are you able to walk us through what the process was getting your first Airbnb property?
I was at the pub, and somebody that used to come in and provide me with a boxing machine. Myself and my husband started talking to him, building relationships with him, and starting to getting to know him a lot more. Found out he was a landlord of about 100 homes, and thought, right, okay, because at that time we were looking at the Airbnb as well. So he talked about what properties he'd have, and we talked about obviously what we're looking to do in the near future. And we just sort of mentioned about keeping us in mind if ever something pops up. So he was talking about a property, and he was like, there's a 5-bedroom property that's coming up. Would you be interested in it? Because I'd be happy for you to do the Airbnb from what you've spoke about. And obviously knowing and building that rapport with him at the pub, he was able to sort of trust us and sort of, showed us the property. From there onwards, we were able to sort of do some numbers and took it on board. We had a handshake, and we literally waited for the property because it was a new built property. We just waited a couple of months for the property to get sorted, and we were able to be given the keys, and we started straight away. What was also great about it was the fact that it gave us the void periods as things were going on. The grace period that we worked on was 3.5 weeks because he still had jobs to do in the house, and he was happy for us, built that trust up for us to obviously do what we needed to do. So we went in, measured up the rooms, and were able to sort of go and purchase furniture, and room by room started obviously completing this while he was still completing the building side of it as well. So we were just so happy and grateful for that particular grace period, where it's building that rapport and him just trusting us, that we just, we're really sort of grateful for that.
Yeah, so if anyone is watching right now, Tina was able to negotiate a few weeks of rent-free period with the landlord, which gave her time to set the property up, to get the furniture in, to get everything up and ready, her listing ready, so she can start getting the bookings and getting them rolling in. That's the amazing thing about doing the right things before you get the first property live, such as trying your best to negotiate on the rent, trying to negotiate and get a good deal on the grace-free period, trying to aim and negotiate the zero deposit as well. All these different things, there's so many ways you can save on cash up front right from the very start, and you were able to do that with the grace-free period of 3.5 weeks. Not many people get that. How were you able to position it? Was it because he was also doing renovations? It just made sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That as well, but also equally, we did knock him down with he gave us 6 months where he knocked off £100 off the rent. So that was really, again, just negotiating with him, and weren't sort of going to settle for what he had said. So he actually came down to knocking off £100 for 6 months. And then obviously we carried on paying what we're paying. So that was brilliant. But it just, it made sense, but also he just trusted us to be in the house, and obviously was able to, he was actually wanted to be that support as well, knowing that we've been working hard and how we've been built up with the pub industry, and wanted to sort of help and support us in this way as well. So that was really positive. It was built that good relationship with him.
So then, to confirm, you were able to get £100 off every single month on that property for 6 months up front?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it said for the first initial 6 months, and then obviously he'd put it
Back to what it yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Are you able to explain what the benefits for the landlord was taking on this property? How were you able to communicate that with him?
I think when we started initially talking to the landlord, he was actually talking about, because he's got other properties, how he basically is quite stressed out because somebody's not paid up. He's had tenants that he's constantly chasing. The house had been in a mess when he'd gone to do a spot inspection. It was just really stressing him out. This is where we'd obviously looked at what sort of problems he was having, explained how I can be a solution to that. And obviously his next property, if he'd come to myself and he's happy with the whole Airbnb side of it, then he wouldn't be having those sort of times where he wouldn't be getting paid on time. He would be getting his rent. It was making those sort of promises to him that this is not something we'd be doing. We'd be repairing stuff ourselves. If there is anything in the house that needs doing, would be calling upon him. And that really sort of struck with him, because he's like, well, I've been so stressed with X, Y, and Z. And if this is the way forward, then I would give it a go. So he didn't understand much of the Airbnb, and he was like, no, I don't get it. But then obviously we were able to sort of discuss it with him and sort of give him the whole sort of Airbnb and what benefits he'd be getting. He was really up for it in that sense. And even looking after the property, he understood that it was going to be like a 5-star hotel. And if there's any minor sort of repairs that we need to be doing, we would be doing it immediately, because equally that would be affecting our reviews. And we had his best interest at the forefront, to be honest with you. And that's exactly what really won him over.
So there's a lot of people that they hear about the business and they know how it works, right? So you either rent the property or you manage it for the landlord, and then you make an income from the short-term rental side of things. A lot of individuals ask the question, but why wouldn't the landlord just do it themselves? How would you answer that to people? Because they're going to be thinking this on this call, watching this video. Surely if you tell the landlord they're going to want to do it themselves, they will steal your business idea, wouldn't they? How would you explain the concept to beginners out there?
I think it's with the landlord I'd spoken to himself as well, and the one that I'm currently working with. And to be honest with you, he was absolutely too busy for it. He didn't, and I think he just knows the sort of long-term rentals and the AST contracts. And it's something that he just didn't want to change, because again, it's something he knew. And obviously his background was that, but he didn't want to have that change. So he was open and willing to obviously allow me to do it, but it was the biggest thing for him was time. He didn't have the time to educate himself. He didn't have the time to sort of look into it. He just literally was like, okay, I've got a family at home. I don't want to be sort of working the way that you're going to be working towards this. Happy to sort of hand it over to yourself. Equally, if he wanted to sort of work with me, I could have project managed it with him and looked at a plan to move forward where we both benefited from the deal in that sense, and where he was able to make some money and I was able to make some money. So even we did discuss that, but he just spoke to me about he doesn't have the time. He doesn't want to sort of spend time in understanding it, and therefore he trusted me to just sort of go ahead with the Airbnb and actually take this forward.
Yeah, so he just pretty much said like, hey, I don't want a piece of the pie. I don't want you to come and manage it for me
That's correct.
and things like that. I don't want anything to do with the business. Just pay me rent on time and keep me out of it. Just do what you want to do with the property, pretty much.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And the way we did it up, to be honest with you, he was massively impressed. He couldn't believe it that I was actually going to be renting this property out. He was like thinking that we are mad because we did it to such a standard. And he doesn't furnish his other properties, the AST contracts. So when we did furnish this and we did it, he was like, wow, I can't beat this. And I'm so surprised, but he didn't understand that I was looking for corporate people coming down and obviously having these stays. And business people come in and families and larger groups come in. He just didn't understand it until obviously we discussed it, and he was happy for us in that sense to move forward.
Amazing. The other question that I would ask, Tina, is how were you able to manage everything that you had on your plate? Because as I mentioned, you have your pub, the business that you're running, you have your job that you also have to go to every single day. You have your family, and then you're starting a business. How were you able to manage everything?
The way I had to do it was early mornings, late nights, and it was just sort of seeing what's important and what's not so important. So I was just breaking up everything about what do I need to action today? what's really important and focusing on that, and what's urgent and what's not so important and can wait. And I think it was prioritizing my time and allocating that time accordingly that able to push me further. So sometimes I wasn't able to sort of get onto a call because I was busy doing something else that was, I'm not saying it was really important, but at the time it was more urgent. So it could have been a call from the house and I needed to sort something out with the hot tub, for instance. That was going to be urgent because obviously my review would have been counting on that and how quick I sort of reached out to them and supported them. So it was about just managing my time a lot better, because once I've got these systems in place, I know equally it's going to be a hell of a lot less time that I'll be sort of working on these properties once they're sort of working for themselves in that sense. And I've got all the sort of support systems in place.
And did you have to sacrifice time with your partner and the children, or were they coming around to the property with you as well?
But yes, we made it exciting, so they'd come with us where we were furniture shopping and so forth. They would do that. My husband was working alongside me, so that was positive. But there was times that obviously there was things like with the mentorship, for instance, it's me that's doing all this side of it. So he'd be more hands-on and doing the property side of it with the repairs or anything that needed to be done there.
Lovely stuff. By the way, this is a side note. When you mentioned figuring out what's urgent and what's important, did you get that from the modules?
That's it. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But I couldn't think of the words. I was thinking, it was within your slides. So I just remember that, okay, this is how I need to sort of conquer this. So this is what I mean. It's really sort of, again, you'd
Practical.
think, yeah, absolutely. But it was just putting it into practice. And I think that's exactly what it was.
If you want to word it a different way or think about it differently, there's a thing where it's like you have house fires and then you have bin fires, and it's like you have a house fire, you need to attend that needs your attention, that needs to be actioned. But then you have bin fires and it's like, okay, but it's just the bin, let it burn. I need to focus on the house fire. There's always going to be little tasks that you need to get done and little things that are on your plate of things to do, but it's like, okay, but what is the needle moving thing right now that's really going to move my business? What are the things where if I work on this project, solving this problem is going to make me the most amount of money? And that's the way we see problems in our own business. It's like, okay, we have about 20 problems here on our list, but which one will make us the most money right now if we focus on it? Because the truth is, all of them could potentially make money for us, but if it's not fixing the bottleneck in the business, we just don't focus on it. We come back to it. So that's great that you're applying that in the business.
Yeah. And what's been great is able to, like you said, sometimes it takes a good 3 times of watching something before it actually penny drops. And, and
Have you been doing
I've
that? Just going back and watching the modules again and again?
Yes, absolutely. So depending on what I'm working with on that particular area. So for instance, like working with somebody with regards to the website, I was able to sort of go back, check notes, just make sure I'm covering everything. Yeah, so it's been good. And then if there's any areas, so for instance with the price lab, how the systems work, I was able to sort of go in and think, right, okay, what do I need to change? What do I need to do? And it's all about trial and error, isn't it? Because every area is going to be different, and it's about what works for me in the market area that I'm in. So we're able to sort of go and not understand it the first time and then try it again. But it's just going back to it, which is great, having it there and keep going back to certain slides.
That would then lead me on to, I guess, the last few questions then. How would you say the program has helped you in achieving the bookings, the cash that you're generating from your property business, and pretty much the journey that you've been on over the last 2 months? How do you feel like the mentorship has helped you with your business?
What I found mostly useful was throughout the mentorship was your answers and questions, because they were just real. It was that time with you guys that you were able to support, and it doesn't matter what issue or problem somebody had brought to you, you were able to answer it fully confidently, and we were able to sort of, even if that problem hasn't occurred with my business right now, I was able to sort of make notes and thought, right, okay, if and when I'm able to apply your feedback to this, and obviously took a lot from it.
Is it the cohort calls we're talking about, by the way?
Yeah, the cohort calls, that's correct, yes, because it was just the way they were done. And for me, it's like sometimes that face-to-face learning, it was just a different way of learning. Sometimes I would shut off if I'm just reading something, not being as interactive. So I'd probably say, right, I'll do an hour but really did half an hour's work and come away from it. Whereas I was on a 3-hour call with you guys and actually wasn't bothered having had a drink or anything like that. I was actually really, really hooked, because I was getting a lot of value from them in that sense.
Yeah. I mean, each class that we have, it lasts between 2 to 3 hours, and we've had some classes where it's been even 3 or 4 hours. And yeah, so they've been really, really long. And actually, Tina, you came off a class and you went on to get, I think it was £10,000 in business funding, weren't you?
Correct, yes.
How did that feel? Coming on a class and then applying the knowledge and then getting approved for £10,000 in funding.
Absolutely, because I think, again, it was that whole mindset change. It was about, we've been brought up to don't use credit cards, they're not good, you shouldn't put yourself in that type of debt, but it's about how to sort of leverage this to let it work for us. I was able to do that, and quite easily in that sense. I was able to write, okay, this is the first move, and everything since then onwards was really positive, and my aim was to get some sort of win each week. And I even felt sick with COVID during the mentorship, and I still got a booking. I remember sort of typing up once I woke up, and I was like, wow, lying in bed, and I was so excited because absolutely I wasn't able to work at the time, but knowing that I had a booking for a couple of weeks down the road was amazing in that sense.
How did you find the process of learning and implementing with the mentorship in your business? How did you find that process for someone that came into this completely beginner?
I think the mentorship as a beginner was great because I feel like you've had a lot of support in the background. So with your sort of channels and the Discord channel, I think the community as a whole was very positive. So we were able to have that momentum together, and we were able to sort of work through it as a community. And it was the community that wanted the same sort of ending. We all want to be winners. We all want to be out there and we want to be successful in what we're doing. But it was obviously we all had different paths to get there. It really supported us in that sense because we were able to sort of communicate with each other and sort of move forward. And if somebody else had already, like if you'd spoken to somebody else about something and now I've got that particular issue, or it might have been needed some advice on something, I was able to go to those individuals and speak to them directly about it. So that was really good support within the mentorship.
You actually made connections with other students inside the mentorship.
Well, they've all been, I think they were all like trying to follow me and Tina, can you, it was actually quite nice to know that we can support each other in this instance. So I was just being real and just exactly what was happening and just talking to other, obviously, mentees, that were on the course. So that was really positive.
Amazing. Would you say that you've been able to replace your income from your job with just this one property yet?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's amazing. How does that feel to be able to replace your job income from just one property?
It's been amazing, absolutely amazing. And that's why I want to sort of push at this more and more, because I'm thinking, brilliant, I'll be able to scale a lot quicker, and therefore I want to have this as the only sort of business that I'm going to be working towards and sort of spending time with.
The last question that I would ask is, if there is anyone that is watching this video and they're on the fence of joining the program and starting their Airbnb business, what would you say to them? What would be your words of advice to them?
My words of advice would be trust the process. It clearly works because I'm in it, great evidence of it in that sense. Take that risk. I think I initially was thinking, if it doesn't work, what if I don't get these bookings? What if it's not the right mentorship for me? Honestly, I had all these little voices in my head, but I thought, no, I've got to change my mindset. I've got to learn. I've got to grow within this business. And in order for me to do that, I needed to basically, obviously, learn how the system works and be more knowledgeable, I think. And I needed to take that risk of actually a bit of change, not just look at videos and think, I know it all. It was knowing that you guys did something that little bit different. My experience overall with the mentorship, it has been overall incredibly supportive. It was really empowering, really, really empowering. That was my biggest thing as well that I've taken from the mentorship. It's given me a lot of confidence and clarity to sort of move forward and take those sort of calculated risks. The success coaches were excellent, quick to respond. They were very helpful. Everything on the mentorship is really sort of systemized. It's very clear. It's easy to sort of get to. You've got the document hub that was clearly sort of sharing everything, and it was just easy to access. So the biggest thing with me, it was just you wanted something to be clean, easy to access, and no difficulty in sort of reaching and systemizing. It was just, everything was just in great order, to be honest with you. And that's why it just made my life a lot easier when completing. the actual mentorship.
Thank you so much, Tina, for joining me on today's call. It was lovely to have you here. And it just goes to show, as you said, trust the process, and you have to put your head down and wait it out, because in your first week, you're not going to see the instant results. Everything is not going to make sense. But if you just trust the process, people can be in the position that you're in right now, where you're earning that multiple thousands of pounds every single month from just one property in just 2 months. It does go to show that if you have the right mindset and you come in wanting to apply the knowledge, it's definitely doable. So thank you, Tina, for again joining us on today's call and being a role model for so many people who have a kind of stable life. You could say they have a stable job, they have a family, but you're an example of someone that wants more and has gone out there and achieved that for themselves. So thank you, Tina, for coming on. It's been a pleasure to have you.
No, thank you so much.